Ooh, ooh, ooh. Ladies, gentlemen, and even though it's not fully apt to say, but gamers! Welcome back. Oh, and welcome back to what, you might ask? Normally, when I say my whole little intro spiel there, I don't think I said that right, my spiel, there we go. Well, regardless of how I say it, and this is the way these usually go. We haven't done one of these in a while. What are we here for? Well, if you have eyes, you've obviously come to the right place. You've come here, I hope, purposefully. This is yet another long awaited, long overdue, and highly requested Chris Allen recap. And it's so funny I do these little intros these ways because obviously you already know what it is based on the title, so I'm really just doing this, I guess, more for me. But we haven't done one of these in a while, and I got requested to do it. So here we are. Now, the Chris Allen recaps are very different from everything else I usually do. Number one, because, I highly don't edit them, but I do put some gameplay up, and I'm assuming what's up right now is probably going to be some really old-ass League gameplay that's nowhere near recent to the current meta, the current patch, the current anything. But it's what I have, and I'm typically pretty lazy. Lazy with some things, not with others. And usually these Chris Allen recaps are all over the place. One of the big reasons why I don't make them is, I'll explain it in this video here, ironically enough, but things are kind of just the way they are. Now, even though that's the case, if we go more below the surface, a nice little Five Nights at Freddy's song there, this is where obviously things can be different, and day-to-day things are different, but in the grand scheme of things, and even if we're not talking on like a pan-cosmic universal scale, just in the grand scheme of everyday human, normal, general life, and we're not going to get into the rabbit hole trap of trying to define what that might or might not be for me or for others, but in general, things are pretty much the same, relatively. So the big question is, why are we here? I don't even know what I'm going to title this video, but I do know, I hope I'm right with this one, we're up to Chris Allen recap number 44. And in general, this is just where I ramble about things, what I feel, what's going on, and, as the title would suggest, it's the recap for me, Chris Allen. As if this channel wasn't personal enough, as if it wasn't, I don't want to say shallow, but this is something that I also don't really like doing, but this just happens to come with content creation in general. And this is where a lot of the times I shoot myself in the foot in a lot of ways, not just with content creation, but in life. There's a lot of, I don't even want to call it dichotomies. I want to call it maybe great ironies. But this is where if you want to be a big streamer, if you want to be a content creator, or just if you want to be popular online, the main thing you do is you try and put yourself out there. How can you get people to buy your things if you don't make commercials, if you don't advertise? That's a great question. And just because I know the answer doesn't mean I'm going to do the answer, because I do not advertise. And in a way, I do like the little corner I've sort of carved out for myself. Now, whether that's a cope or not, whether I'm just molding myself to the reality that it's become, who knows? But we're getting off topic, as we usually do, and as we probably will still in the coming minutes of the video. I don't really know how long this is going to be, but as you can see, I haven't even gotten to the topic I've wanted to get into, and look at where we are. We've been all over the place. And I don't think that's good relatively, but, if people like it, if people want it, I'm here to try and please, if nothing else. So, why are we here for this Chris Allen recap, aside from saying the TLDR on what's been happening, aside from all the gaming stuff, which the gaming stuff is inextricably linked to what I do every day. It's a big part of my person. If you took gaming away from me, I'd be like a drug user. Like, I wouldn't know what to do with my day. I'd start freaking out. Dare I say, I'd probably start tweaking out. But this is where I don't really want to talk about games, because we talk about those all the time on the YouTube, on the Twitch, everywhere. The main reason, and one of the main requests I got for making this, has to do with something that I'm almost positive I touched on in the other Chris Allen recaps, and that just has to do with something in society. Without beating around the bush too much more, the main thing that really grinded my gears today, that was just upsetting to me, and it's hot off the presses too. I did this, I think, less than 2 hours ago. Hell, even maybe less than an hour ago. I went to McDonald's, and it's a Monday, and that's kind of rare. I usually only go on a Fridays or if there's a special deal, but I was whisked away off my feet. I went outside, which is a very rare occurrence, and we went to McDonald's, me and my friend, my auntie, and I got the snack wrap. And this is where we can take this one little thing, and we're gonna see how far I go with this. We're gonna take this one little thing, which is the snack wrap, and we're gonna extrapolate it into all these other potential topics. Again, how far will I go? When I start these things, I have no script. I don't think I'm gonna go that far, but again, look where we've come from, look where we are. So, lo and behold, I buy the snack wrap, and this is just so infuriating. For those of you who know the gaming side of things, this is almost as infuriating to me as my job, as Genshin Impact, one of the worst games that is on the market right now in terms of how it treats its player base. Just, there's these things in society that when I see them, it just doesn't make sense and it shouldn't be allowed. And the sad reality is, and this is really depressing too, and I hate the fact that the Chris Allen recaps are like this, but this is the way the world is, and sadly, it doesn't seem like it's going to change anytime soon, at least for most of us, if not for more of us, with the way things are going economically and everything. But I'm being vague, I'm sorry, let's keep going. This is where, in the past, I'm sure many people, at least in America, yeah, hello, are very familiar with the McDonald's snack wrap. I got both the available McDonald's snack wraps. Now, I wasn't crazy about these things in the past. I got them before, I liked them, and they were decently good. And mind you, I used to buy them from Manhattan, one of the most expensive places around, because they overcharge like a bitch over there because of the tourists. And that's another topic that's underlying with this whole thing. Not tourists, but what people will allow. Because ultimately, you can blame a lot of different parties, and a lot of parties never think they're wrong. They will always blame everyone but themselves. And this is where, in reality, fault is shared, I think, almost like a two-way road, both ways. Now, trying to figure out where the real fault lies or who the fault is with more of is really the hard part. But again, ambiguity. This is where, in the past, there used to be allegedly, and I don't remember this specifically, but it's from a trusted source. Trust me, the shadow government. This is where in the past there was a lot more flavors of snack wrap, and they were bigger. The price has allegedly gone up, and I bought one snack wrap for $3, and there's only two, which is again less than before. So I bought two snack wraps, a spicy one and a regular one, for $6 minus, and then adding tax with that, it's actually more than $6. So whoop-de-doo. We have gone to an era, and it's so stupid. And I can go into another topic with this about just wage inflation and the arguments against that, but then we're gonna go everywhere. I got a tiny little wiener square that you would think is like the size of a Minecraft block you would get in like the McDonald's Happy Meal as a toy for a kid. I looked at this, I opened the bag, and I looked at this, and I'm like, this is it? This is the snack wrap? If I showed my face, I would have done like a food review on it almost. This shit was pathetic. This shit was honestly infuriating, and it's the main reason why I'm making the car, aside from going all over the place. I looked at this, and I was just astounded. I'm like, let me get this straight. You're taking away our options, so we have less variety to choose the snack wrap we want. And people might think this isn't a big deal. What is a big deal and what's not is not for you to decide. It's person to person, because there's people out there, and I can't believe my mind went to this example first, but there's people out there who love dressing up in fursuits. We call them furries, and they have a very bad stigma. And I'm not saying that because I'm a defender of them. I'm not putting my opinion into this. I'm neutral. Switzerland. But this is where a lot of people, and I say a lot because, I'm not dealing with hard numbers here, but a good percentage of groups of people will like different things that you will think is out of their minds. Like, you would think they're crazy for it, and you wouldn't like it or be interested in it in like 1,000 years, right? But this is where, that's why we're different. People are different, we're all different, and we like different things. We do different things. So this is where I think, and especially because it's McDonald's, it's food, and it's America, this matters to a lot of people for different reasons. Number one, food lovers in general. Number two, snack wrap lovers, because McDonald's is making this a big thing. Like, hey guys, look, the snack wrap is back. Whoa, you guys begged for it, you asked for it, you probably sacrificed some fucking children for it. Here it is. You're welcome. And then I get it, and I'm like, what the hell is this? But, there's people who enjoy the snack wrap just because they really like it. And then there's just people who are trying to save a buck and trying to get what used to be the idea of fast food, which was cheap, fast, and decently good enough food. Budget food, in a sense. That's not terrible, that's not shit. Because we all know fast food for you is unhealthy. It's not doing you any favors on that department. But again, the saving grace usually was you're getting a decent enough amount of taste for the price. No longer is this the case. And you can always question, oh, maybe it's just because you're in New York. Sure, you might be right. But in New York, we're packed like fucking sardines in here. So there's a lot of people here. So it does affect a lot of people. Like, just in the city alone, we have like fucking, 8-9 million people? Jesus Christ. And there's McDonald's like everywhere. So regardless, aside from me trying to prove the validity of my point here with the population, this is where the snack wrap has basically become a shell of itself, and this leads to the larger argument of, number one, what is going on with the economy? And number two, why is this happening? How is society leading to this way? So we're looking at macroeconomic trends and macro societal trends from almost an anthropological perspective. Now, I don't know if what I just said was bullshit, and I don't know how we ended up from the snack wrap to this, but we did, and that's the beauty of the Chris Allen recaps, because that's how my mind works. So this is where the fact that this is the case with McDonald's, and it's not just McDonald's, it's almost all fast food restaurants nowadays. And again, it could just be Manhattan, but I think it's everywhere, and if it's not everywhere, it will be soon. It's just like Apple. If Apple does something, everyone else copies them, even though it's not even good. And that goes into the other thing, the societal trend of people allow this shit. So in general, I'm sure people have heard it, and I'm sure a lot of people, and I know this for a fact, a lot of people are feeling this just economically. Things cost more, and we're not making as much. And you'll often hear people like Bernie Sanders say this thing, and again, it's true. I believe we have math to prove it. I haven't verified it, but that's the other problem. People are lazy because they have to work so hard just to provide ends meet, or just try and live, because we have to work for the right to live a decent life now, whatever that's even called, that we don't have time or will after your 2-3 jobs to really go and search these things up, because now the internet is rife with misinformation, and it's really sad, and AI is not doing it any favors either. AI is helping, but goddamn AI is hurting, and it's helping the smart people and it's hurting the stupid people, because the stupid people can't tell the difference, and the smart people are using it to convince the stupid people of what they want, which is usually how the world works. But regardless, going back here to the snack wrap and that shit, this is where just economically with McDonald's and all restaurants, prices are going up. And again, like I mentioned with Bernie Sanders, we are living in the period of time where there's so much wealth inequality. I believe they keep saying we are in the biggest wealth inequality in the history of our species, which, we're also in the biggest population in the history of our species, and it doesn't look like it's slowing down. But that's a conversation for another day, because that's a scary conversation where we start running out of resources like water, where what really is the carrying capacity of the planet? When will we reach it? Because we're extending it, we're pushing it with scientific advancement. Nothing was supposed to be able to sustain where we are now without science. So in a way, we're sort of freaks of nature, in another way we're not, because we are from nature. But I'm not going to go into that either. But this is just where, man, everything is getting so expensive and it's getting so shitty. I felt so disrespected. And the worst part is, again, they get away with it. I felt so disrespected that McDonald's is selling this Minecraft square-sized snack wrap, no longer a phallic penis shape that I could suck on with my mouth, but a square I have to munch on. Realistically, it's more of a rectangle, but still. This square I have to munch on. For $3, you take away my variety. You take away the girth, the actual amount. You lessen it, and you charge me more for it? Are you kidding me? And again, they made it some big spectacle, like, oh yeah, it's back. Look, everyone, you wanted it so bad. It's not even all that. It's just a piece of chicken with some fucking vegetables and shit and some ranch. Are you kidding me? And like a fucking tortilla. That's it. And it got me so upset. And again, it got me thinking about all these other topics, like how everything's getting more expensive. And the main reason it's happening, and this is going to be a little bit of a complex thought here, and I don't even know if it's true, but this is where I truly do believe that obviously not everyone is poor. And this is the problem. Because the rich are getting richer, they can afford to have these companies meet their quotas, meet their deadlines, because they always want to raise it for obviously the shareholder, but they can always have them meet it. And then they don't care. These companies don't care if the poor man gets left behind. And I always give this example, right? Let's just say there's insulin. There's insulin that is $5 per capsule. I'm not really familiar with insulin, thank goodness. I don't have diabetes or anything. But let's just say insulin is $5 per capsule. 100 people can afford to buy it. Then they raise it from $5 to $50. Now they're making 10 times the amount. Will they lose 10 times the customers though, because now people can't afford it? No. Instead of 100 people being able to afford it, now let's just say 50 people can afford it, because those are the people that are rich enough to afford it. So even though they lost half their people, they're still making way more of a profit because they raised the price, and they don't care that those other 50 people are essentially going to die. Now, I'm taking this example and I'm really making it extreme to really show the example, and also because I always think of that one, I don't know why. But that's the one I have off the hip, and I don't want to like sit here too much and linger on this topic and edit this shit too hard. But still, this is where it's the same way for these restaurants. These restaurants, aka fast food chains, because restaurants are supposed to be higher establishment, higher price, higher standards. These fast food places were supposed to be economical. They're not anymore. And it's so infuriating. And again, people allow this to happen. And it's so dumb. Now, again, at a certain point, can you even blame the people? Because what are they supposed to do? If people need to eat, people need to eat. And again, at the end of the day, and this is where, again, like I say, there's always blame on both sides. You can blame the people. You could say, oh, they're lazy, they're this, they're that. But then at the same time, you can also blame society, saying, oh, but at the end of the day, they have two jobs, they're tired, they don't want to really like cook, they don't know how to cook because, there's all this bullshit and nonsense around. A lot of reasons you could put on both sides, but where do you really draw the line, or where do you really pick the side that is at blame more? Again, that's an entirely different topic that is different for every argument. But just in general, this is the way things are now, and it doesn't seem to be getting better. It seems to be getting worse. And, AI is quite readily not even on the horizon anymore. It's here. And I've been hearing trucks are getting automated, especially with like Tyson chicken and shit like that. Things are getting automated, but I don't know if we're going near UBI now. Part of the Chris Allen recap, part of what's around me at least, and this isn't really Chris Allen at this point, this is New York City. But, Zohran Mamdani, the new quote-unquote Democratic candidate, and I really don't want to get political here, but the Democratic candidate who's more socialist has won the primaries. Who knows if he's going to win the actual election, but this is where if he wins and socialist ideas get pushed, there could be maybe a light at the end of the tunnel. If this can actually work in reality, because who really knows, right? I don't really have a side in this, I'm just thinking. Because if I pick a side, I might get crucified by the other side, but this is where socialist ideas might be coming, and it might be the next evolution to capitalism. It might not. Who knows, right? But this is where a term is often tossed around a lot, and it's called late stage capitalism. And I don't know if we're there. I don't know if we're past it. I don't know if we're suffering through it. I don't know a lot of things anymore. And again, that's a big problem with nowadays. We just don't know what is what anymore because definitions change and the misinformation is out the wazoo. But this is where things are getting to an extreme, and for a fact, this is something that's indisputable. For a fact, more and more people are suffering, and it's going to get worse before it gets better, and who knows if and when it will get better, or if everything will collapse and we'll just blow each other up, and this won't really be an issue anymore. Now, I don't want to end on that depressing ass shit, so forget about the snack wrap and all the weird places we just went to. Let's talk about what's happening with me and actually make it more about Chris Allen here, instead of the stupid fucking snack wrap. So in general, I would say things for me are really the same, and this is the other topic I wanted to get into for the most part. And part of the Chris Allen recaps is just me checking in, me sort of saying what's up, what's going on, how I'm feeling, any new revelations I've gotten. There's other things I could say, but I'll refrain. But in general, I really feel like me and my friends and just people around the age of, and I really struggle to say this because God does it hurt, around the age of, I think I'm 27 now, 27, kind of recently turned, but not really, because time flies. The older you get, the faster I feel like time flies, but This is where now people, at least historically speaking, and for the most part, some people are still like this. And the sad part is the light at the end of the tunnel is mostly gone for most people, unless you're really smart or you're really lucky. And again, it's the same thing with the wealth disparity. More and more people are going to be left behind. Some people are still going to make it, but it's less and less now. And it's the same thing here, where now I feel like most of us are just in ruts. I always equate it to the SpongeBob episode, where in this SpongeBob episode, the guy wakes up, goes to work, comes home, the wife is like, your dinner's ready, coming dear, and then he goes, eats dinner, and he just does it all again. I feel like at this point, and it's sad because for most people, me included, there's really no way to solve this again unless you get really lucky or you're really smart and a hustler. And because most of us are average, because that's the literal definition of average, most of us are that. That's not going to happen to us. And this is where, again, it's getting depressing, and I do apologize, but this is where it's like, man, there's not much to do. And at least from what I hear in certain periods of time in our history, relative to our lifetime or our parents' lifetime, you used to be able to work and have something at the end of it. But now, like I said before, you're kind of just working for the right to live and the right to just keep going. And that's it. And that's such a depressing thing, man. And I keep seeing all these other videos, all these other discussions saying, oh yeah, how does Gen Z survive? How does Gen Z do this, do that? And it's like, oh, they have to invest in a Roth IRA, a retirement account from their job, personal investing, all this other stuff, maybe a pension if you're even lucky enough to do that, right? And you have to do all these things just to get what the previous generation got. And it forces us to be smarter and be more hustlers. And if you're not, well, you're just getting left behind, I guess, unfortunately. But it forces us to be smarter, but we have to be to even survive. It's just getting tougher and tougher out there, man. But in general, I feel like things, and this is no stranger to me too. And if you know me, if you've seen the other Krishan recaps, or more so if you just see how I stream and just how I do things in general, I am extremely cyclical. And my friends even say too, my friends even described it almost like a superpower. I take it as a prison with chains. I don't want to be this way. I almost feel like I have to be this way. It's almost out of my control, but things with me are extremely cyclical, and I feel like just in general, so for me it's multiplied, but for other people around this age range in general, for where we are usually in hopefully our careers, even though now the common thing is to job hop every 3 years and get a pay increase, we're supposed to be like, in our careers, but it also feels like unless your job is very cool or you're very lucky and you have a really good job, a lot of things just become monotonous and boring. And it's really depressing that we have the internet and we can see how all these things are. And then looking forward into the future or just knowing what's out there, we do one of the most dangerous things that we can do. We compare. And online, we see not only fake shit with AI now, but we also see curated images of the best things are and not all the bad things that usually come with it, for the most part. And this is why we have unrealistic body standards, unrealistic expectations, with relationships and with other things too. A lot of things. Basically, a lot of reality is getting warped. And it's really sad. And, people, for the most part, are just stuck in their ruts. And then I believe this is a reason why people either go insane or they go massively into debt, because they're like, what's the point? There's no light at the end of the tunnel, and we don't want to slave away for 30/40 years because the retirement keeps getting pushed back to where, at that point in the last years of our lives where we're old, where, we can't really do what potentially we wanted to do, or we're sort of hindered by our age. Oh, that's when we can have fun. It's almost like an ant colony. Like, we're supposed to be working for the good of the hive, but who's the hive? Now, I'm really scared to go into this topic now too, because this could lead to some really dark things and some things that could get me in trouble and label me kind of dangerously by certain groups. So we'll leave it there. But just in general, I feel like more than ever now, obviously, if we go into the nitty gritty, if we go into the day to day, week to week, month to month, there are things that are changing, but they're so mundane, they're so shallow, they're so generalistic. I'm sure no one wants to know to that level. And if they did, then my stream would be more popping now, wouldn't it? But in general, I feel like right now most people are in ruts, and a lot of my friends are in ruts too, where after school, after college, or after, your younger years, where a lot of change happens very often, every 2, 3, 4 years, you go to a new school, you meet new people, you do new things you have to do. You have to start paying bills, get a job while working, or, while going to school and all these other things. A lot of life changes a lot very often pre 21, if you go by the normal standard. After that, business as usual, day in, day out. And for people like me, where I sort of like slash am forced to do cyclical stuff, it's decent, it's all right. But for people that are not like me, that want adventure, that actually want to have like a somewhat non-monotonous life, good luck. Because again, because of the economics and the way things are now, and how much jobs pay you, and how things are going in general, more and more you have to be a slave. And it's sad. It's sad, it's depressing. And again, I really don't mean to make it so sad and depressing. And I really am scared of putting out the false view, because number one, I don't think it's possible to see the overarching view of all of society. Because number one, you can try and look at statistics, and those can be skewed, false, or misinterpreted. But number two, I feel like society is so big and there's so much complexity to it that not one person can really tell you how it is. Number one, if they're too young because they haven't been around, or number two, if they're old, I still think they can't see all of society because there's so much of it. It's like, how much can you do in really one lifetime? Because most people don't really go out of their bubbles, and most people aren't going around the country, and or even outside of the country, even outside the world too, like to other countries, not to outside the planet. But TLDR, because I feel like I'm getting all over the place as I usually do. This is where we're in a rut. Things economically are not looking good, but for me, it's business as usual. Ironically enough, I hope and I think I've set myself up for a way out. Unfortunately, it's going to be like the same as most other people in my situation, where it's probably going to take a long time unless I get lucky. And in the general day to day, things aren't going well. And this is the sad reality of life. I feel like as you get older, a lot of kids' dreams die. And I really do apologize. I don't mean for this to be as depressing as it is, but I feel like as you get older, not only do you get more realistic, which also means kids' dreams die, and whether those were realistic to begin with is a really good question. They usually aren't, but we see the way reality is, and society has just been, like I said, tougher and tougher. So we try and be more realistic, which ends up being a more grim outlook, especially for our generation, where it just gets depressing. Things are hard, things are tough, things are very cyclical, and things aren't really much changing aside from day to day, month to month bullshit, which is always going to be there. Where again, I just feel like the rut is here, and I feel like I've said this before too, and I was getting glimpses of it, but now I really feel like we're in it. I've noticed more and more. The more you're in the cycle, hopefully, the more you can open your eyes and see what the cycle is, and are you really a part of it. Just because we know we're running on the hamster cage doesn't mean, or sorry, the hamster wheel doesn't mean we could get out of it. But that's pretty much all the ideas. I really do hope it came out clearly, concisely, although I doubt that. But I hope there's food for thought, and I often question why I do what I do, because obviously I said it's cyclical. I do things just out of because I've been doing them, if that makes sense. But I need to always find a way to justify it and make it make sense to me. Part of that is, I just like doing it, and I think it's sad that you only do realize things when you're older, and when you're older, usually when you don't have the time or the energy or the opportunity to do them anymore. But hindsight's 2020. But this is where life really is very short and very sad for a lot of people, because there's so many dreams that go unfulfilled. And maybe that's good because some of them are sick. But there's a lot of things that go unfulfilled, and there's a lot of things where you realize, like, if you don't do it for yourself, because a lot of the times a lot of us don't have great situations where other people will either do it for us or take care of us. It really is sad that a lot of life is on you, and you have to push yourself and do all these things from yourself. Like, you are the big executor of your life, and if you're like me and you're cyclical and you're sort of trapped in your mental constraints, or you're just weak-willed, or you're scared, or whatever it might be, anxious, anxiety, because don't get me started on how prevalent that is and the reasons why. That's a whole other topic. But things are just harder and harder for all these people, and life is very short, and I feel like it's very depressing for a lot of people. And in periods of history, there's almost nothing a lot of people could do. Now, historically speaking, we're the I don't want to say the best we've been historically, but at least we're not in saber-toothed tiger times where things are attacking us. We don't have like proper hygiene, food, running water, and all these things. Life was hard in a lot of historical contexts compared to now. Now we have it pretty easy, at least from the survival aspect. But from the mental aspect, good Jesus Lord, is it the worst I think it's been in a long time, especially for the young generation, which I don't know if I'm on anymore. I don't know if I'm an unk yet, but certainly I'm starting to feel it. And we're not young spuds forever, and that's like the kind of topic I've stuck onto now, which I thought we were going to end, but I guess we're on this now. But, we're not young spuds forever, so, even though it's kind of stupid and it's kind of cheesy and it's overused a lot, try and do what you want to do, especially while you're still young. And the sad part is, young people won't really feel it until they're older. They won't really understand the weight of this until you lose it. Until you lose it, you don't know the value of it. And I'm saying that as if I am Monk, so I guess I am. But either way, we'll leave it here. Like I said, I hope it was clear, concise, enjoyable. And as for the reasons to which I used to justify myself to why to make these, number one, it was requested, but sometimes that's not enough for my mind. Number two, it gets to peer into my mind, and I truly do hope this does help someone, or at least sparks thought and influences something in a positive way. There's a lot of things where, the common saying is, the path to hell is paved with good intentions. I really hope this doesn't end out because of all the depressing shit or whatever it might be, leading to something bad, but that's just what's going on in my mind. And again, a lot of the Chris Allen recap is literally what am I thinking about and where is my maze of mind going with that thought, because we went all over the place. Either way, we'll end it here because I have a lot of other shit to do. As usual, life never ends, and the more you're in it, the more bullshit happens, which is where I'm at from the day to day. But in general, things are the same. So it is what it is. We'll see if anything changes. Hopefully, the light at the end of the tunnel that is there for me, and I don't think for many other people, but hopefully for me, and hopefully for a lot of other people. Although, again, I'm trying to be realistic, which is sad that that's what realistic means now, to me at least. Who knows if that's the reality. But, I do hope things are well for other people, and I hope my light at the end of the tunnel comes sooner in a good way, because that sounds really bad. I just realized it. I hope my light, aka my freedom, and that could still be taken as bad. I hope my freedom from work and from a lot of these economic constraints gets lifted very soon by good things. And don't get me started about the other problems, because this is where there's another topic I could always go into where money really isn't everything. And it's sad because if you don't have money, it's everything. And if you do have money, people realize, wow, I still have a lot of other problems, / you get new problems. But I hope I've gone into that topic before. And if not, I'll let you all think about that. If you want me to go over it, tell me. I do these very sparingly. I hope for obvious reason. It's very messy and I don't quite like that. But we do them anyway. So like I said, it was requested. Here it is. I also enjoy doing them. I also enjoy just venting, but everything makes me nervous. So this did come at a cost to a little bit of my sanity. But what doesn't nowadays? Either way, though, we'll end it here for real. Hope everyone enjoyed. Hope everyone has a good one. If you want to see more, let me know. If you enjoyed, let me know. If you want me to talk about something, let me know. These are surprisingly easy to do despite being as stressful as they are. Either way, if you want to see me more, Twitch TV / Tecnics channel. Hope everyone enjoyed. Hope everyone has a good one. And hope all of our dreams that are not evil come true. Eee!